Calling all ninjas. Calling all ninjas. It's time for Lyme Ninja Radio.
Hello. Today's a special day on Lyme Ninja Radio. Today is Aurora's birthday. Happy birthday, daughter.
Big 30.
Big 30.
Wait, 3. Wait, shoot.
Something like that.
Something like that. Anyway, I can't reverse it in the chat. My brain's
video.
not working that way today.
That's all right. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
We're glad you joined us. Today is another extra special episode combining Lyme disease and COVID and essential oils. We're on a roll with essential oils, and we are bringing to the studio with us two of my favorite people, all the way from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's awesome, the internet. You can bring all your friends close by, even when we're social distancing. And it's Dr. Lari Young and Carly Huff Sink, and they have an amazing, what do I want to say? Well, they've got an amazing business, but they've got an amazing set of products that are wonderful for people with Lyme disease. And that's because they're wearable, or you can be used in a diffuser, essential oil blends in a diffuser, or a roll-on. But you can get a wristband. So here's something that you can use to help kind of calm down your mast cells, calm down inflammation, help your immune system and boost it. But it's not something you don't have to take another pill, right? You don't have to swallow anything else and worry about those types of reactions. So that's really exciting. Aurora, will you tell us a little bit more about their company?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit about Dr. Lari Young. She founded DNA Energetics to support the body's innate healing systems and restore people to their highest vibrancy and vitality. And she brings 30 years of experience in medicine and an East meets West clinical approach in order to treat her patients' physical and energetic bodies. And Carly Sink has been exploring natural medicine as part of her own healing journey and learning about bioenergetics and becoming a certified aromatherapist. And 4 years ago, she began working for Dr. Young, who learning and growing her understanding of health and holistic healing, and now owns Vibes Up in Winston-Salem, which produces these products. And they're both formulators for DNA Energetics.
Thanks, Aurora. And as you all know, Lyme disease is an international problem, and we have people tuning in to our podcast from all over the world. And kind of to keep that theme going, if you're listening, and I know there's some of you out there right now on Facebook and on YouTube, just type in the comments section where you're from. We'd like to read off where people are from. Just keep that going, because we know Lyme disease is not just a Northeast problem. It's not just a New York problem. It's not just a Michigan problem. It's in Ohio and Florida and California and Washington and Switzerland and Paris, right? We've been having a ton of listens from Paris. Apparently someone got really interested in Lyme disease in Paris and just spreading the word out there. All right. So let us know where you're from in the comments. And Aurora, I'm going to say goodbye. Happy birthday. We'll bring you back at the end. Be sure to have for us 3 things that you learned today, so you can share that with us. We'll bring up Dr. Lari and Carly. So hang on here. Bye, Aurora. And here's Dr. Lari, and here's Carly. God, you got to love technology. It's so cool. Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having us on.
Oh, thanks for coming on short notice. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to tell folks, really, I mean, I know you developed this new blend for viral protection, but you've got this whole line of wonderful products, and I've got to try them out, at the different conferences we've been together and when I came down to visit you, and it's just such cool stuff. And you can feel that. It's amazing. You can feel them. You can feel the energetics when you use this stuff. It's really, I don't know, live. I would say if I was in my Chinese medicine hat wearing that, I'd say it's full of chi, right? You can feel the chi. So, Lari, why don't you tell us some about how you got into this, what you've got going on, and then we'll bring in Carly to talk about some of the specifics about the different oils and their properties. How does that sound?
Perfect. So I've always been very interested in, and in my training career, I was, very. I went to medical school and did my training later on in life. It was closer to age 40 when I when I was in medical school. But prior to that, I'd done a lot of research and study about outcomes and holistic health, and so when I went to medical school, that really helped to ground my focus if I was thinking of and becoming a student at such a different time of phase of my life. And when I was in school, I continued to be reminded that the human body is more than just the parts, right? And so we had to think more about the holism of suffering and disease and healing, and those things were very important to me. And so while I was busy learning vocabulary and therapeutics and the traditional language and the vernacular training, I was knew that when I got out, I was probably going to gear my focus more towards those approaches that would allow me to think of the person as a whole. And then after getting out of school and doing my training and building my practice here in Winston-Salem, I met Carly, and I think we've shaped one another's thoughts and thinking about things. But I had a little partner there who would help me with the alchemy using natural products. In my office, I have more of a botanical approach with my patients. I don't often prescribe antibiotics or use pharmaceuticals, but just being exposed to the world of essential oils and thinking about health and healing and crafting remedies using the power of plant medicine became very interesting intellectually to me. So Carla and I had a natural overlap there, and 4 or 5 years ago, we got interested in thinking about essential oils and really how, through a conversation that we had with a colleague around DNA and genomic testing, we began to think about how could plant-based essential oils be crafted and formulated to address specific genetic mutation patterns. And so we've sort of gone down that pathway over the last couple of years, crafting these formulas. But the most recent formula that we've made are some environmental formulas, one against mycotoxins, one for this viral defense support, and we have some for EMF, helping the voltage-gated calcium channels. So I've always been interested in holism, and I had to go to school to learn about deconstructing the holism, but getting out, I wanted to put it back together and had to go back and learn from my teachers who taught me about holism, and then the natural world has got what we need to heal ourselves. So that's a little bit of how I found my way to where I am, I guess.
Now, Carly, do you have one of your wristbands on you? Can you show
I do,
people?
yeah.
Are you
And
wearing one?
I am. I can take one off and kind of show it. They have our little DNA Energetics logo. I don't know if it's going to show up right or not. There we go. But on the inside of it is the gemstones and the essential oil formulation.
So,
and
stop there for a second and explain to people kind of what that is, because that's the magic. That's the alchemy of this thing.
Absolutely.
And I'd call it magic because I don't understand the science. I don't know if anybody understands the science, but it works.
Well, I'll let Dr. Young talk a little bit about the piezo energy and the how we get them manufactured and produced. We work with a company called Vibes Up out in California that helps manufacture. We send them the formulations, and they we've kind of partnered in using their technology. So I'll let Lari kind of explain that a little bit.
So the cool thing about the wearable technology is that we had occasion through Carly to become acquainted with a very brilliant woman named Caitlin Keith out in California, who has a company and a patented technology which uses a combination of certain gemstones and minerals in a particular ratio of those minerals that give off a positive charge and negative charge. And if you put them in a certain combination or ratio in terms of the mixture of those things together, you can get a net negative charge. And and one of the properties of minerals or gemstones is that if you put them under pressure, the charges within the that are distributed usually within the structure of the mineral crystal will become displaced, in a sense that the mechanical pressure will force all the positive charges to one side and the negative charges to the opposite side, creating a kind of a battery type effect, what we call piezo energy. And so that stored charge can then be like a little delivery system for vibrating a frequency of natural energy into the body. And what Caitlin has done so masterfully is to kind of figure out a way to take this combination of quartz and tourmaline and other gemstones and put them under pressure, and then mix in whatever formula we give her in terms of the oils or the other ingredients that we provide to her. And when they're all added into this sort of goo, and they are then placed and allowed to harden, it's the act of hardening and creating that shrinking of the holding the gemstones together under pressure that creates the energy frequency that then delivers the frequency of the formula into the body. So it's like a natural delivery system. And I was very curious about this. And so that's been a very popular way for us to be able to deliver healthy medicine to people without having to have people take more things, by their mouth. So we really like the idea of using different energy delivery systems, frequency systems. And anyway, that's a little bit about the piezo energy that comes off of these bands.
Mm-hmm.
And Carly, why don't you tell us a little bit about this new formula that you put together for our new friend, the CoV-2. What's the official name of the virus itself? So the disease is COVID-19, but the virus is CoV-2 something?
Yeah. Corona, like Corona 2, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Well, obviously we're not making any claims. The research that we used, we went to different clinical studies that looked at particular viral families. And so there was nothing specific on COVID-19. So again, we're not claiming to treat any particular disease with this formulation. But some of the oils that are in this blend are, there are a lot of oils that have antiviral properties. But the ones specifically that are in, we call it viral defense. It's under our environmental defense line. It's a formulation of spike lavender, clary sage, liquid amber, which a lot of people probably haven't heard of. Thyme, which thyme is a powerful antiviral, antimicrobial, antibacterial. Mastic, laurel, and we actually have organic sulfur in this particular blend. So it's very powerful for the immune system.
So
in general.
The particular components of the oil blend that we made, when we went to the literature to look for what if there was any evidence to support the use of essential oils in some types of viruses, and particularly the coronavirus is an RNA, everybody knows it's an RNA envelope virus. So we look for oils that had been successful or had some properties that would have been used with the SARS, kind of SARS viruses, and that's where we sort of, which were in the corona family. So we were able to find literature to support the ingredient selection that we made. And then we, of course, developed the ratio of all the proportion of these ingredients, one to the other, to create the formula, of course. But they all have some clinical evidence to support their use for RNA viruses, and also will be good for influenza and, interestingly, for herpetic viruses as well. So,
yeah. And we have that formulation. A great thing to, obviously, this is, it's attacking the respiratory system. So inhaling, diffusing the viral defense blend, clears the space around you. That's an excellent way to use this particular blend because you're breathing it in constantly throughout the day. And you would obviously want to be careful around children and pets. I'm always very cautious of that, but it's an excellent oil.
One of the things I'm very interested in is how do we begin to re-enter into our newly dangerous world and keep ourselves healthy at the same time, right? It's easy. Social distancing, if you're very rigorous about social distancing and staying at home, the chances of you catching this thing at this point are pretty low, right? Unless you go to a giant event where you're intermixing with people and stuck in a room together. The problem is, however, at some point we got to go back to work, right? We've got to
Right.
get back on the bus. We've got to get back on an airplane. We've got to get back to the supermarket or to the store where maybe people have not been as vigilant, as scared about wiping down surfaces. I think things like your products and your strategies and how you're thinking is important. How do you see that fitting in? For me, it's like a natural. It's like, of course, this makes so much sense. But how are you planning on using them?
Well, I can tell you that I am always diffusing something in my air that's medicinal. I believe it's so powerful to use the, power of your respiratory tract to deliver something important to your brain and to your entire body, just for just the smell. And so we are using our viral defense in my home 24/7 in a couple of different diffusers, and we've all been very healthy and nothing, knock on wood, nothing's going, kids are being healthy too. But I go to my office every day. I'm still seeing patients, and we're using the viral defense. So I think something as unobtrusive as putting it in a diffuser where the aromas is pleasant to smell, but it's also very powerful and has potent therapeutic effects. It's just very non-intrusive into your life. You don't have to remember to take some, but every day you could be really taking advantage of receiving the health that you need just through the act of breathing, which I think is very useful. And of course, carrying a roll-on in your bag or putting it on your body in certain places, well, that's great. If that's another great way of doing it as well. But also wearing the band, because we always are wearing the wearable technology. I mean, so I don't go a day without putting on the band. We have all the different formulas in the bands. But these days, we're wearing the viral defense band. We're just blowing the viral defense essential oil. What do you think, Carly?
Yeah, no, I think those are great options. And the topical roll-on, you can keep that in your purse, you can keep it in your pocket. I think a lot of it comes to, when we go out in public, it's all about, keeping your immune system up, keeping your energy, or some people say vibration or frequency, your bioenergetic field. You want to strengthen that field so that whenever something comes around you or you're breathing in, your body can immediately kick it out. And so just doing things to strengthen that system, it's almost like, imagine like a shield. And so that's how I kind of see the bands. And goodness, when I'm at the house, I'll wear 2 or 3 of them at a time, because it's always pulsing, into your wrist. And it's not, and I want to explain to people, this is not you're not getting a transdermal application there. You don't have to reapply any of the oils to the band. The oils are actually embedded in the mat material while it's created. So it's constantly sending that signal or frequency into your body as throughout the day. So even though you're just wearing on your wrist, I want you to think about all the blood in your body pumping through the veins and through the arteries. And so it's constantly picking up that little piezo energetic signal.
Now, the other thing I want to ask you about is you've got other formulas, and I know you got started thinking about genetic nutrition and Bob Miller's work and his software and what's going on there. But you've taken that and you've really run with it. So what other options do you have? Because, viral protection is obviously a hot topic these days, and people with Lyme disease are very interested. We all know that viruses either come as a co-infection or opportunistic infection or reinfection or reemergence of an old infection, however you want to describe it, at the same time as the immune system weakens. But what else do you have for people to help them with various issues?
Yeah. Well, I can talk about a few. Lari, you want to go first?
Well, I think
chat about a few of them.
Yeah, then Carly pick up too. I think one of the most powerful combinations to put with the viral defense formula right now would be the autophagy formula that we have. And so for many of you who know what autophagy is, it's the state of the cell cycle when your body's in kind of that repairing mode. And we know that autophagy will turn off a lot of the, right now, in terms of how the COVID virus is producing its pathology is really through the process of the mTOR pathway, which is really accelerated as the virus is trying to use the body's machinery to grow and harness energy. And so if we can turn on the body's healing and repairing and recovery, which is important whether you have Lyme or whether you have coronavirus or you have any sort of problem, is that most people need more help to get their body into a healthy healing and repairing mode. And so I think our autophagy blend is a really powerful formula with a lot of essential oils that have shown to be oils that promote autophagy or dampen down the mTOR pathway. So definitely autophagy would be a great one to be using at the same time you're using any of these formulas. And then we have an inflammation defense formula. We have a mast cell formula. And, Carly, I'll let you speak about a couple of those.
Sure. Well, so the mast cell formulation was one of our first blends, and it's probably one of my favorite. Dr. Young, when I first started working for her, I was still on my healing journey along the way. And I was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome years ago, and there's often a lot of overlapping with mast cell activation syndrome and people with different hypermobility disorders. And so we've really worked, and that's where I started digging into a lot of the research on essential oils and stabilizing mast cells. So we have a mast cell stabilizing blend. It's excellent. It has turmeric. And I'm not going to go through and list everything that's in all our blends. You can go to our website and see the oils, and you can see we have a resources page where you can go and read the research studies that have been done on the specific oils. So we have a mast cell stabilizing blend. We also have, if you're familiar with Bob Miller's software, we have an NRF2 support that helps support that particular pathway, mycotoxin defense, a master antioxidant blend that works on glutathione, SOD, and catalase. And some of these formulations, you're going to see some of them we have in diffusing, roll-on, and band, and we may not have every option in each formula because, say, like the mycotoxin defense formula, it has some oils that are not first off, you probably wouldn't want to apply them much topically because they would not smell that great on. So the band is a great option for those of you that may have a sensitivity to smell, because the bands don't have any smell. I mean, they have very slight when you first get it, but you can reuse them over and over and over again for, we typically get 4 to 6 months out of a band. And others we just have in diffusing formulations, say actually the EMF formula we have in diffusing and a band, but we don't have a topical formulation because it's a hot oil and you wouldn't necessarily want to apply it to the skin. And so each formulation, depending on what specific issues people have, we can kind of mix and match. So I'm always happy, please feel free to give us a call and ask questions about a particular formulation, or is this safe for such and such? And I'm very happy to talk with you. I love oils, obviously, so I really like to help educate people and so that they can use them safely, because I do realize that a lot of us are dealing with very sensitive issues, and so it's not like you can just take information from Google and use it. You really want to use these oils and blends safely.
Dr. Lari.
The other thing I was going to say is one formula that's been especially helpful for me and my family is the EMF blend. And looking at our genomics, we all have a little bit of weakness in the genes that code for the enzymes that are related to calcium channels. So it means that our calcium channels are a little bit more excitable. And that tends to be the mechanism by which EMF can really disrupt and make people feel very unhealthy, feel bad, is through the pathways of the voltage gated calcium channel. So the EMF blend is another great one. It's got a lot of cinnamon and hoe wood and a few other things in it that help stabilize the calcium channels. So I find that for those of you that are in areas where there's a lot of 5G or other things that are going on out there in the environment, just using that, especially with your kids when they're around their computers and just, we've got some people who are using that in the classrooms at schools, and pediatricians that are using some of these formulas in their offices when kids come in, especially when they're treating kids with autism and other things. But anyway, so that EMF form is a really good one as well for people to EMF.
We have a question from our good friend Christine, and she thinks it's a silly question, but I don't. She asks, do these bands cause Herx reactions? Have you found that?
I can answer. So with the bands, typically, we haven't had anybody have any severe reactions to them. One or two people, when they put them on, the only sensitivity might be to the, so it's a non-latex silicone base. And so some people may have a slight sensitivity to that, but we haven't had anybody go into like a strong detox or anything. And what you can do is you can always work up your time with them. If you are very sensitive, say people that have mast cell issues, they're sensitive to basically the world. And so I tell them, just, for your own sanity, if you want to start out slow and wear it for a couple of minutes and then work your time up, that's great. But a lot of people kind of feel a calming of the nervous system almost immediately. And, the body is just picking up this slight signal. So it's not like it's an electronic where you're turning the electronic on and it stays on. Your body is going to pick up what it needs in this balance ratio. And so also another option would be, if you want to imprint your water kind of homeopathically, you can wrap the band around the water bottle and then drink the water. And so there's lots of different ways you can use them. You could even wear them on your ankle if you would like, if you don't necessarily want to wear the band on your wrist. So, and one thing we've also noticed is you can do gridding where you put one on each wrist and you create a little bit more of a flow. So you're getting a little bit more of that signal if your body really seems to like it. So hopefully that answered your question. Or Lari may have some additional comments.
Well, I was going to say, just using some of what I would say about the gemstone technology, that wearable tech, is that there's some innate wisdom in nature. So the frequencies coming from these bands are very grounding because it's mostly a net negative charge. So it's not, it's really providing you with really the master antioxidant, which is an electron. And so the body knows what it needs and will only take in really what it needs. And so when people first put it on, people who don't even quite understand what they're putting on, usually people do feel a certain, they can't quite describe it, but they feel different. And that's the body really noticing the subtle energies coming off of the bracelet. So we've not really had anybody have any untoward effects from wearing the wearable technologies because there's an inherent wisdom in nature about the frequencies. In terms of the oils, application of oils or intensity of the diffusing blends, I guess, we always advise about 3 to 4 drops in a diffuser well, but if you want more, you can put a little bit more in or you can put less in, and that definitely decreases the intensity of the aroma and the, coming off. So, and then of course, applying it on your body, people need to always make sure that they apply it in a small place first and make sure there's no trouble applying it to the skin, but we haven't really had anybody tell us there's have any issues with any of the topicals or.
Yeah, they're very safely diluted. I really was very safely diluted, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah.
In my experience wearing them, it's always had a calming effect. I really didn't get any jolt.
Oh, and our GABA. Forgot to talk about the GABA.
All right, everybody needs GABA right now. Yeah.
The calming. You said it's very calming. I was like, oh, we forgot our GABA blend. Like, yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs some calming.
Massively. So first of all, what is GABA? And second of all, what did you put together to support that?
I'll let Lari talk a little bit about what is GABA while I find my little form of all our.
Well, GABA is your calming neurotransmitter or brain messenger neurotransmitter in the brain. And so typically when you take medicines that provide calming support like Valium and these things that really are anti-anxiety medicines, they're working on those GABA receptors in the brain. So we found, we're fortunate to find some literature on oils that help promote the GABA, support the GABA receptor. And so they're natural calming oils that work through that pathway. So I think Carly has the formula there, but that's another really good formula. It has some cinnamon in it, right, Carly?
A GABA blend, we have hoe wood, which a lot of people haven't heard of hoe wood. It's very grounding, and we also have cinnamon bark in this particular blend. And I always like to think about Christmas time when we're always smelling cinnamon, and it just brings that like happy feeling to the, to the body. Holy basil or tulsi is also in this blend, and holy basil is also known as a mast cell stabilizer. So if you think of, and we have a lot of mast cells in the brain and the nervous system, and so think about when you're inhaling something in, it goes right into the olfactory system and sends little frequencies or signals really into the brain and down through the rest of the nervous system. So that's why the power of inhalation is so strong. So we have holy basil in that blend, and then also black cumin seed, where I know a lot of people take black cumin seed internally, but they actually make an essential oil. And it doesn't smell like cumin, like at all. It actually smells pretty good. So yeah, that's our GABA blend.
Awesome. Thank you both so much for coming on and sharing.
Oh, thank you.
This technology, this wisdom, this learning. It's so cool. It's such a different way of thinking about health and supporting your health than we normally do, popping a pill for something, or even doing physical things like sauna or cryotherapy, or I don't know what else, exercise. The whole idea that there's vibrations and there's energy is just such a mind-blowing thing. And once you begin to kind of clue into it, you can see the effects of it more and more. And thank you just for your pioneering work. It's really pretty amazing. It's been so much fun to be around you as you bring these products and learn more and more about it. I can't wait to see what the next year brings.
Well, I could tell you we're working on a nitric oxide bracelet now. So
woohoo, my favorite.
Here for you, okay, yeah. So very excited.
Wait,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. One more before you go. Aurora's got a question. So what's the recommended time for using oils in a diffuser for maximum effect?
Sure.
Can you use too much, too long, I guess, kind of question?
I think that really varies per person. I mean, I've read a lot of different aromatherapy books, and a lot of people will recommend initially 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, and kind of see how you feel with a particular oil. Because some of them may cause a slight detox reaction. So if you're starting out 30 minutes on, 30 minutes off, but to be honest with you, I personally diffuse all throughout the day. And I know Dr. Young as well. I mean, we got them going all over. So
I mean, when I go to bed at night, I turn the GABA on and put in my room. Although autophagy is another great one to do in the evening while you're sleeping when your body's trying to heal and repair. But right now there's allergies with the pollen, and so the mast cell formula is very helpful for its antihistaminic properties to use right now during the spring. But I will tell you that it's no more easy way to really use the air as medicine, right? As a delivery system. And so I just think using oils all the time in certain formulations that we know are supportive for our bodies, health and well-being, it's just the easiest thing to do in the world. And most people find it very pleasant. Like I said, just to have a diffuser sitting around, turn it on. I mean, if it's not on, it's not right now. My body knows it. So, anyway.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing again. And you can either, I was telling Carly earlier, you guys can hang on for a few minutes while Aurora and I wrap up, and or you can go ahead and check out after I pull you off the screen, and we'll catch up at another time. But so it's up to you. And if you're around, we'll talk afterwards. If not,
we'll hang on.
Catch up. All right. So thanks. See you. Talk to you in a few minutes offline.
All right.
All right, Miss Aurora. Thanks for the question there.
Yeah, you're welcome.
What did you learn?
Well, my big takeaway is using the diffuser as an all-day therapy. I think that's a great way to do this, and it's a great way to mix up your modalities. Mm-hmm. So rather than doing, I'm going to have my whole cupboard full of supplements, you can put something in your diffuser and take a break from popping pills all morning, that sort of thing. So I loved that. And then just the bands themselves I just think is brilliant. Like, it's a great way to get the effect of the essential oils without having to use the oils themselves. And especially if you have like chemical sensitivities that you're worried about, it's really great. So that's what I've got.
That's awesome. I want to bring up one thing I forgot to mention while Carly and Lari were on the air with us is that they've generously given us a coupon code to use on their website, and the coupon code is Lyme Ninja 10, and it's good for 10% off anything you order there. So head on over to DNA Energetics and use the coupon code Lyme Ninja 10. That way you get 10% off. And Aurora, your comments really remind me of, there's this awesome book called The Emperor's Scent. And so this man who was a professional knows for the
perfume companies.
For the perfume industry, exactly.
Right.
And he decided to go back into the scientific points of things. And he came up with a brand new theory for how we smell. And he says it's not the shape of the molecule that there's. So the theory is there's shape of molecules, there's sensors in the nose, the molecule matches up to the different sensors, it sends a signal to the brain. Except there's one molecule that smells terrible that's not supposed to smell terrible because of the shape it's in. It's supposed to smell like something else. So he came up with a new theory. He says it's not the shape of the molecule, it's the vibration of the molecule. And this just blew everybody's brains. So he put together this amazing paper, and of course it got rejected by the experts. The physicist said, oh, your physics is great, but your biology is wrong. And the biologist who was reviewing it said, your biology is fantastic, but your physics is wrong. And so he just threw up his hands and said, you guys are all idiots, goodbye.
Yeah.
But what he's talking about is perhaps there are vibrations, little vibrations, that it's not so much the chemical entity of the essential oil that's smelling it. Maybe it's the vibration itself. So if you put this vibration in a wristband and wear it, you can get the benefit of the vibration without having to smell, without having to deal with the volatile oils that are coming in and detoxifying those. So for people who are super, super sensitive, this might be a place to explore and start with, because again, like Carly was saying, you can put this around a glass of water, right? You can put this around your water bottle and begin to get things to vibrate almost in a homeopathic way. Or you can try to wear it around your wrist. And, you know, if you have problems with silicone, you could wear it over, you know, cotton sleeve or something like that and still get some benefit from it. So it's really an interesting thing to explore. And that's why we brought Dr. Lari and Carly on to speak with us. All right. That's what I have. Unless you have anything else, Aurora, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Please join us next week, 8 p.m. Tuesday, New York City time. And we'll be talking to a local Lyme expert, Dr. Pook. And she has a clinic not too far from us in Chittenango, New York. And she will be here to answer your questions specifically about all the different treatments she does for Lyme disease and what she currently sees as being most effective. So come on back if you like what you're doing and join us next week. Bye for now.
Bye. Okay, we good?
We're good.
Hi, guys.
That was awesome.
Hey, Aurora.
Hi.